Rev up your engines!
Danny861 says, I was thinking about putting those covers on my wheels and covers on my disc brake calipers because I'm getting dust all over the place and I want to stop the dust. What do you think of that? Okay, no, don't do that. When you're driving your car down the road, all that kinetic energy of motion, when you slam on the brakes, it's turned to heat. The heat is at the brake calipers and the brake rotor. And what happens is it turns all the kinetic energy into heat. The heat's got to be dissipated by the air blowing, cooling them off. When you put those little blockers on the back side of the wheel or you put a cover on the calipers, you're slowing down the airflow. You want maximum airflow on those things. So don't do that. If you get too much dust, maybe get better brake pads like Acompono that don't put out as much dust, or clean the wheels more often. But don't put any kind of blockage on it because that's going to make your brake system not only not work as well because it can't dissipate heat as fast, but it's going to wear out faster because it's going to run hotter than it should. Glow Punny Zen. Hey, Scotty, I got an '02 Toyota Corolla with 92,000 miles and minor rust on the bottom. Should I keep it or get rid of it? What you have to figure out is, how minor is the rust? There can be surface rust. Say you go into the car, you see rust. Get a hammer. Start tapping it. If it sounds pretty solid when you hit it, no big deal. You can actually kind of sand it down and then you can spray primer on it and coat it. There's all kinds of undercoating to stop it. Some guys even spray WD-40. If you hit it and it crinkles in and it's rotted the whole way through, yeah, it's definitely time to get rid of it then, because cars like that have what are called unibody construction, and the unibody construction fall apart. It's not like there's a solid frame, and if part of the frame's gone, you can weld frames back on. No, when the unibody frame rots, it's time to get rid of the vehicle. You don't want to go any further. AJ Sheets says, Scotty, my husband and I are considering purchase a 2011 Cadillac SRX for $9,000 with 106,000 miles. No, don't. That's when they start to fall apart. I have had customers, even had a neighbor once, with one of those things, and he got rid of the thing when it was 6 years old because he said, hey, the thing is falling apart. I can't afford this. Well, he could because he was making like $400,000 or $500,000 a year, but he didn't like the idea of wasting on a stupid car. Those Cadillacs are money pits as they age, and that thing is now getting old, 9 years old. It's got 106,000 miles. That's when they start to fall apart. If you really want to get a Cadillac, my advice, lease one. Then you can get it out of your system. And you don't have to pay for any of the repairs because it's a new car and you're leasing it. You'll lose a lot less money leasing it and getting rid of it than you would buying it and then selling it when it's 5 years old. Just lease the thing if you really want to get a Cadillac. And if you want to get a nice luxury used car, look at Lexus. There's plenty of them out there. Get a Lexus. It's 10 times that Cadillac. Frosty Vic, Scotty got an '07 Buick LaCrosse for 33,000 miles. Do you think it's safe to change the transmission fluid? Okay, as they age and you get a lot of miles on them, it's not a good idea to change the fluid if it's never been changed. You want to change it on that particular thing like every 30,000 miles. But it's only got 33,000 miles on it. I would go ahead and change it. It's got such a low amount of miles on it, there isn't that much wear in them. Those old American cars, as you drive them, they shed clutch material and that clogs it all up, but it takes miles and miles and miles and miles driving to do that. If you would have said it had 133,000 miles, I'd say no, don't change it. But if that's actually only 33,000 miles, you know it for sure, go ahead and change it. I had a customer, he had his oil changed in one of these oil change joints. Right after he had his oil changed, he noticed his windshield wipers weren't working. It was raining, he turned them on, they didn't work. So he took it back, and he said, what'd you do? And they looked, and they said, we don't know, we just changed your oil. So he brought it to me. I looked at it, just cursory, the fuse, everything was okay. So I got on my computer and I looked up a little data. I've got all the information, technical service bulletins. This was a Chrysler 200. They had such insane software. I guess the Italians and the Americans writing software together didn't glitch all that well. When you reset the oil change interval, it says time to change your oil, right? The guys at the oil change place, they reset it so it said he didn't need it changed yet. Then when it's time, it comes and says time to change your oil, right? All they did was reset that. When they reset that, that somehow acted with the software of the car and made the windshield wipers not work. There's a body control module. The computer runs your windshield wipers, runs the warning systems, runs all kinds of stuff. All I had to do was reprogram the computer for that. I did. Then the wipers started working. So who would think that having your oil changed would make your windshield wipers stop working? Italian-American conglomeration car. It's Shadow Ninja and says, Scotty, what do you think of the old Fiat twin-cam engines using the Fiat Ritmo Abarth? Fiat technology is interesting. Italians have always been into things that could go fast. that were fun to drive. Just like Ducati motorcycles. They started out as these little bitty single-cylinder ones, but then they cut them and split them and made screaming V-twin engines that were really fast, but also fell apart really fast too. I like the idea behind them, the engineering. They're fast, they're fun to drive, but they just don't hold up over time. And if you want some kind of transportation device that's going to be dependable, you don't want to buy yourself a Fiat. The best of those Fiats, actually, the ones they sell in Europe, are the diesel ones, because the diesel engines don't have the horsepower, but they generally are much more reliable and last out longer. I know in Europe, a lot of people are driving the diesel versions, which is a completely different car than a souped-up gasoline one. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.